I'm just waiting on some people to get in here. I'm about to set the mood, play a little music.
Yeah. No matter where you are, no matter how rough it gets, I've seen how it's going to the God creator. Oh,
What's up? What's up? What's up? It's your boy Quadeuce. I'm trying to wait till I see some people in here, but sometimes I don't understand how YouTube be doing me. So um, I'm gonna go ahead and start it off. First of all, this is a spiritual session. So there will be some cannabis being rolled as we take a spiritual journey, and I'll dive into our first spiritual session and the topics of the session. Hold on 1 second, y'all. All right, we right back in this thing. Like it's not a thing, you hear me? But look, so we gonna be having our first spiritual session, and it's gonna be about all things spiritual. Every time I get on live and y'all heard me, y'all see the title say spiritual session, just know we coming in with a spiritual session. And we're gonna be talking about all types of things as much as we can. You know what I'm saying? And I just want to start this off with some information. We having spiritual church. The thing is, the entity that you call God, that's your ancestor. Y'all might say, now how is that my ancestor Quadeuce? My family is here on earth. I have an earth family. What's up, Jordan? I'm just talking about spiritual things. How y'all doing? Um, you might say I have an earth family, so how is God my ancestor? The entity that you call God is vast and the beginning of everything. So if you trace your actual DNA lineage all the way back to the first of creation, it's gonna trace to the entity that we refer to as God. So God really is our ancestor. Now this is spiritual session, but we gonna use other things to relate so people can understand where we coming from. You see, all religions pretty much basically is like an aspect of a lot of people's interpretation of what we call God or this entity. And it's not that any one of them are good or bad or just the path to being spiritual, and not even, partaking in one is good or bad. It's just the understanding of the aspects of it all being energy and it all stemming from the same source. Right? Now, with that being said, we got to talk about the ancients. We're going to get into it. The ancient people did not call and worship these beings, these entities, or the entity, with depending on whichever one you believe. We spiritual, so we're gonna talk about it all. Um, they did not see them as gods. They saw them as ancestors. They did not worship them. That's the disconnect. That's the misconception. That's where people get it all wrong. That's where I used to always get confused at, because the disconnect is like, I know this information, that I'm God, that we're gods and goddesses, depending on your gene pool and where and genetics you carry. You understand? But either or, if you're not even that, you could still say you the guy over your life. You in complete control. You know what I'm saying? You make decisions and choices every day. You feel me? So, um, as guys and goddesses, to use it in a relatable term in such a way of relatability, um, we understand, speaking specifically to my melanated, carbonated brothers and sisters, we understand that they are our ancestors. They're to be honored. They're to be um, um, affirmed. You're to build relations and relationships with. They're to help you along your journey in life and through your path. And I'm sure in the next levels of this thing they call life, which would be the quote unquote death phase, which I don't even call it death, because death is an entity and it's a beautiful entity at that. We just got it all twisted and get it all wrong. But um, we understand that plain and simply put, we are the universe. We are the makeup of the universe. And the entity of the being that referred to as God, but uh, we have that same, we share that same DNA, the same makeup, the same stuff that the stars and the sun is made of. We share the DNA with that. The same material that the trees is made of, DEA and plant material, which is actually, I've heard that if you carbonated, melanated, my complexion, black, you know what I'm saying, uh, Latino, type shit, I've heard that. Damn, I just about forgot what I was about to say. Hold on. I already pre-smoked before I started this, so give me a minute. that we share, we have DEA actually, and not DNA. But you know, they're gonna tell us anything. I also understand that our bodies don't even function the same as different ethnicities and people and races. See, people don't get that. We got different blood types that have different preferred diets and everything. Like, I ain't even gonna say that. Nah, let me not do that. I was about to tell y'all what blood type I am. I ain't about to do that. But our bodies are different because we not the same species. The biggest lie ever told is that we the same. What's up to everybody in the chat that's saying hi? I appreciate all of y'all for tuning in. Make sure y'all hit the like button for me and run it up. And hit the subscribe button because I feel like I'm a pretty entertaining guy. And I be having a lot of stuff going on. And you should check out my channel. But, what was I saying? Oh, we're not the same genetic makeup. We're not the same species. That's the biggest. This is the biggest lie that's ever been told in history. The putting us together as one and the same was part of a plan, part of an elaborate scheme to control a people. You gotta know the difference between me and you, but that's how you understand the unity, though. We know what we different at, therefore we know what we the same at because we live in a law of we live in a world of, you know, two sides, you know, the law of polarity. The polarity. It gotta be two sided. So if you see the love, you know it's some hate. If you see the hate, just know it's some love somewhere. You feel me? For sure. Yeah, the serpent in the Garden of Eden was a different species, for sure. That's yeah, definitely. And that's for y'all that don't know that, it's a bunch of statues and hidden caves and underground where in mounds, stuff carved in stone that's obviously not human. Um, well, when you say human, you wouldn't consider human your typical modern human. You feel me? But it's obviously not something that we've done. It's shit they find to pull out of caves all the time of serpent, giant, lizard, snake creatures, and um different artifacts of different. Some would say mythological beings, and some would say uh real. I'm trying to keep it healthy, but keep running out. I don't want to keep using this hemp with. Keep lighting it. But yeah, let me get back to the point though. So, like I said, the ancient people didn't call them gods, and it's understood that we don't worship them, we honor them. And I'm gonna even give you a reason as to why I think you shouldn't even worship them. And I'm talking about if you're into the spirituality in any religion or even in any of the spirituality practices, you know, your voodoos, your robos, you know, just spirituality in general, even if you don't practice anything. Um, you're not supposed to worship them because think about it. Only The only thing in nature that want to be worshipped is something that feel inadequate. Only time you want some praise is if you feeling like you ain't got enough. If you ain't, you see what I'm saying? So it's an unnatural order. It's in an unnatural order, an unnatural state to even feel like that, and to be in that state is not natural because we all come from the same source. So why would we be feeling at any time inadequate? For you to feel inadequate, that means God, the entity you call God, had to fail. So it's like that don't make sense. That's why you shouldn't worship these ancestors, but you should definitely honor them and build relationships with them. You know what I'm saying? And there's tricks to I don't know per se exactly if I would call them tricks to spirits in the sense of like they just want to trick you and do per se have negative intentions that'll come in and act like they're your ancestors, or if they're ancestors, if they're your ancestors that are actually just like that. You see what I'm saying? So it could be a case of you have tricks to spirits that will come in sometime with you trying to, you got to realize what you're doing. With you trying to worship these beings, I want to make sure some people in here when I say this. I really, really do. But with you trying to worship these beings, you're giving off of energy. You gotta stop worshiping. It's a it's a it's a thing to do because we feel like the world is so big and the universe is so vast. But we gotta stop worshiping. Even in Christianity, Jesus said, "Are ye not gods?" Take gods out and replace the words God with ancestors. Are you not your ancestors? Do you not share your ancestors' DNA, genetic? Did you not come from an ancestor? You came from someone who is now an ancestor. And you share their DNA, they make up their genetics. You share an actual piece of them, an actual part of them makes up you. You them. Because that small part that makes up them, that small part that makes up you that you share with them embodies the whole entirety and the full spectrum of what their essence was. So you all the way them. You not just a piece of them. Like you not just a piece of your mama. You all the way your mama. Like you got I put it like this. You got every piece of your ancestors in you. You got every piece of your mama in you. You got every piece of your father in you. Everything that you encounter and encompass, you got every piece of it. The full spectrum is in you. You understand? We have a spiritual church. And one day, you will become an ancestor. When you were born, you were already an ancestor. You just didn't realize it until it happened. Like you don't realize you should gonna be somebody's ancestor until you have kids. You feel me? Until you become Papa, Dad, Granddad. You see what I'm saying? So there is what you would call God all around you. Literally. There is what you would call your ancestors all around you. You carry everybody, all your loved ones is all with you at all times. That's the shit. That's the way it was designed by the creator. That's the way that it was designed by the being we call God. Everything has some relatability and it connect back. I don't give a fuck what going on with you is. Ain't nothing out here without a home on God. You see what I'm saying? Now I also want to dive into some of these practices that people think are dark magic. I also want to dive into Christianity some more, as well as into some of these secret organizations that we think so damn secretive. So let me start with some of these secret organizations that we think are so damn secretive. All that knowledge traced back to a place it ain't that secretive. It's just ancient, forgotten knowledge that they hold and try to keep and gatekeep. That's all it is. Think about it like this: you ain't coming to this world knowing no knowledge. You not know when you was a baby. You ain't. I mean, everything you came in knowing was what was natural to you. Was your natural connection to source. You ain't coming to this motherfucker knowing no 33rd degree shit. You feel me? But that information has been around and the ancestors knew it. Parts and bits of it's been chopped up, taken away, split into separate organizations, spread all across the map to keep the world confused. Bring it together and you got it. They knew to conquer and divide or to split it apart and they had control. All you gotta do is hit Uno on their ass and put the reverse card down. Bring it together, everything like Pangea when this shit was in the beginning. What they say, even the land masses was together in the beginning. How y'all think it wasn't like something like that? You feel me? You feel me? So it's like you just gotta understand that even like all the African spirituality systems, you know, the Kemetic systems and all of the systems and practices that are in our heritage and stuff like that, right? Even that was all a way to explain the aspects of the connection between nature and the divine being one and the same and the relationships and the dynamics of that. But you are nature, so it also explains your connection to the divine and your dynamics and relationships and the aspects of the divine as you. And what you doing having here as a soul, having a human experience as the divine one. You just gotta realize that you the divine one and that you having a human experience and that's what this all is and you can't really have a day. Nobody can really make you mad no more. When you really master it. Now you say that shit, but when the action come and the emotion happen and the feeling happen, it takes some practice. But it's like once you master it, you got it. You got it. You feel me? You understand. So our religions really should just come together. If they were so good and understood so much about being whole, most religions and practices are just trying to bring you to being whole. What's the truth about the whole you? The truth about the whole you is you got an essence inside of you that makes you allows you to be able to breathe, walk, talk, write, do everything that you do, and it ain't nothing that humans created. That's the truth about the whole you. Our religions and the spiritual past, and even some of the Eastern practice, like like being a Taoist, the Taoism, and some of the Buddhist practice, Shaolin practice, holism. It's just there's one way they do it in the East, and there's one way they do it in the West. You feel me? In the West, we got like so many religions. In the East, they got so many different practices and cultures centered around yogic techniques and martial arts stuff and so many different ways of looking at the energy that comes from source that resides in the body and how they use it. It's just different ways, but it's all source energy. And even Christianity, that's what I'm saying. Everybody really against each other, but don't know that they really fucking with each other without realizing. Christianity, I've been hearing information that it actually originated in Africa, despite what everybody say and the things that have been taught, as a form of a lesser form or a less populated, a less denser version of the heavy stuff, broken down in basically tales and personifications and stuff like that, so that people could understand like a metaphorical concept behind it or a spiritual concept behind it. A lot of young guys are not thinking that deep and coming to the truth like that. I appreciate that. I don't want to mess that up. Arleon. I'ma just call you folk. I appreciate that, folk. Now for real, I'm only 26. But I ain't gonna lie, I've been like this for a long time. Like I went from church, real religious. Like I done been around, you feel me? I done experienced some things. I went to church from the time I was 3 to 18, faithfully every Sunday. Sunday school, Bible study. Like I used to go to Bible studies with adults, and I was like 10 type time. Yeah, for sure. And then I got in the military, and when I got out, I started experiencing. Well, it was really before the military. I had my first astral projection experience at about 15, 16 years old in what grade was that? 10th grade. It might have been 9th grade, but I want to say 10th grade. I'm pretty sure it was 10th grade. And I astral projected, and I've have experiences with all kind of stuff since, like hypnotic stuff, astral projection stuff. But overall, I just always knew that it was something about energy and just using your will for good and intention. You know what I'm saying? I always knew that mistakes happen all the time, but it's something behind intention that determines it. You feel me? That's just different. Like, I might intend something, but something else be the outcome. But that intent means something. You feel me? That's gonna let me know where your mind at, where your spirit at, depending on how well I know my own self. You see what I'm saying? That's why in the Egyptian world, in the Kemetic world, they used to say you couldn't even go to school if you ain't know the first rule of school, which was to know thyself. Like that was before you even entered into what you would call a modern day now, what we call a school. On the dope, it's like know thyself. That's what the ancient people taught. Because you are the universe, and every aspect of God, that little small aspect of God that you embody, that the entity we call God that you and everything else embodies, is the full spectrum, is the totality of it. So it's like that little 1% is 100% though. You feel what I'm saying? The whole aspect. I'm 37 and now just learning about these things you're talking about, my brother. Just astro projected. He has heart issues and near death experience recently, but his spirit has been getting stronger. Yo, that's how it be. That's how it be. But look, when spirit gets stronger, body gotta follow. You see what I'm saying? And that's why in the Eastern world, in the Eastern sciences, all of this that we refer to as like even the reference to it all as spiritual in the ancient days, it was science to them. These was the things that they studied. These were how our modern day scientists is trying to create technology to keep us well, I ain't even gonna say it like that. How modern day scientists create technology and sometimes it keep us trapped. You know what I'm saying? It keep us scrolling and stuff and not using our time wisely to better ourselves and get on the path and learn something better. Um, in ancient days, the scientists were doing the opposite. They were trying to connect with source and get on a higher level and a better understanding. Even the modern day scientists know this. That's why they gotta. That's why they gotta call it a science. A science. It's still called called a science, but it's called pseudoscience today. Like a mockery term, like a playfulness. Like yeah, that's pseudoscience. But I'ma also tell y'all this, knowing that all of this information I've just shared, understand that it is okay to have any practice. And I think that if I take anything away from ancient practices as far as the culture and religious goes and spirituality goes, is that it's okay to go multiple ways. A lot of times we think that we gotta go one way to get there. All these ways lead back there. And it was okay to have different systems and different paths to be able to honor the mind of the entity that we're inside. Because the universe is mind is all. We inside the mind of God. A lot of people don't know that. But we're literally inside the mind of God. Why you think this like the universe keeps expanding at a rapid rate and it doesn't stop, it'll never end, it just keeps expanding. That sounds like the mind of God to me. What else would keep expanding? There's no other substance known to the unit. There's no other substance known to just keep expanding and expanding without stopping, without having to stop. Everything has to come to a halt except for. Exactly. See, when you understand that, then it changes your perspective. Then you start getting into, okay, so if the universe is the mind of God, I should start studying the principles of the universe because that's gonna teach me how the mind operates. That's where all of your elite 33rd degree information and Illuminati and all they knowledge, that shit come from the knowledge of the universe. And they take it, they tell you it's demonic to try to hide it, and they use it against you. And they use it to win in life. Yes, sir. That's why I'm here listening. Facts. Appreciate you. Shout out to everybody that's in here. Shout out to all the subscribers. Make sure y'all hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. You know what I'm saying? Share the live. If your heart vibrate like that, you feel me? And it's just all about unity, y'all. But understand, just like I would call, if I really had to give a term to what God is, I call God energy. Because energy can never be destroyed or recreated, only transferred. God can never be destroyed or recreated, but always expanding, always moving around, always, the energy is always doing something, you feel me? So, any of these practices that you want to do is okay. Don't get caught into when I was going through my younger years, I went from Christianity to spirituality to not seeming like it was structured enough, so diving into some different spiritual practices. I've did a little voodoo here and there, a little voodoo, you know what I'm saying? I learned about the Yoruba systems. The Ghana has a system too. I think it's the kind system. Really like the kind system. But then I also understand that if you my complexion, a lot of us we're just as mixed as everyone we see around us. We just don't realize it. Like, you see mixed people and you see them, you like, they mixed. You know, they Hispanic, they Puerto Rican, Mexican. You know, you could tell we're mixed too. We're not. It's society today looks at us as like just fully black, like we just black. Like, no, it's black people got multiple different groups and types. You feel me? Like, there's black Asiatic people, there's black Mexican people, there's black people, and there was black people in every ethnicity, and I'm gonna further explain to you why. And this is a concept, and it's gonna ease some people's mind, and it's gonna make some people understand why we as black people are so targeted sometimes. You feel me? Okay, the color black in itself, understand when the entity, God, in the beginning, created the heaven and the earth, like it tell you, because they take everything got some truth to it. They take parts of it and give it to you, and they take parts of it and take it away from you, so you confused. They don't want to tell you a lie, because eventually you will discover it's a lie. They don't want you to ever find out the truth. They don't want to tell you a lie. They want to keep you in the middle. They're going to give you a little truth with a little lie. So you like, this true, so should I just stick to the truth? Or should I just call it a lie? Then you confused. And you confused. On top of that, you got everything in the world going on. You ain't got time. You got everyday life to worry about. You ain't got time to be confused about your spiritual self and your own soul and where you're headed and what you're doing and where you're going. But that's what they want. They want you to be confused, so that way you just stay never progressing, never growing, never expanding. And anything that don't expand in the mind of God will have to be dealt with and done away with, just like your body recycles cells every 7 years. You a whole new being, you don't even know it. Like, you got a whole new body every 7 years, all your cells get recycled. So if you not expanding, and you inside my brain as a cell, and I got a smart body, and I'm God, I got it's the natural law of things is everything gotta grow, and if it don't grow, it gotta go. You see what I'm saying? So it's not even when some people fall off, when some people get disconnected from source, when some people go through certain things, it ain't even personal for real. It's just the law. You feel what I'm saying? It's not even personal. It's just the law. And that's why you gotta understand the laws. See, this is God's language. This is God's way of talking. See, we got our own language, and we want to go and we want it to say, let's explain God in the best way that we can. Words, God ain't talking through words. Words are a little, like, that's a little small vibration. Like, think about how many times you gotta, when you're manifesting, think about how many times when you're doing your affirmations, think about how many times you gotta repeat them. There's small increments of the vibration that's being projected. But over time, if you just keep pounding away at it like a hammer and a nail, you're gonna get it together. You see what I'm saying? So I ain't gonna lie, I just forgot what I was about to say momentarily. So I'm waiting for another download. It be like that. My brain, I be going in, then my brain get a little overloaded, then a pause happen where everything go blank, and then some information come in. You feel me? For sure. But when you understand that you inside the mind of God, you stop looking outside yourself for God. You a piece of the totality. Not just a piece, the piece. You gotta see, we live in a universe of duality. You gotta understand both aspects. You the piece and the whole. You the main character and the story. See what I'm saying? So you could look around and see the story. This is Earth. It spins around. This is the universe. We are in this thing. This is what we call life. We here. This is the totality. But there's also spirit that also governs physical. And we can also sense instances and essences of that depending on our vibrations and our consciousness. Every day I open my eyes, I'm in awe of the miracle we call life. Exactly, folks. Exactly. Every day. I mean, and it's like no matter what's going on, it's something to be amazed about. You feel what I'm saying? I don't care how many nukes is shooting across the ocean. You know what I'm saying? How many protests is going on? Like, I still look around and I see nothing but beauty. And that's the level that Jesus was on. That's the level that Buddha was on. That's the level that you reach, and you just everything becomes bliss and nirvana, because even when it's bad, it's good. It was fun when you got through it and you understood that the whole time you was going through it, you thought you lost yourself, but how can you lose yourself when everything is you and you is everything? We having spiritual church. We having spiritual church. Make sure y'all hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, share the live. I'm also a musical artist. I would consider myself to be a chief because I am starting a tribe called Quadeuce Tribe, and I just want a society that do things different. And you gotta start from the beginning. You gotta start with spirit. because spirit governs physical. So it got to be based off of some spiritual access principles. You know what I'm saying? And also the fruits of those spirits, like love, peace, patience, kindness. You know what I'm saying? Happiness. So that's what we got going on. That's what we doing over here. But right now we having spiritual church. And I just want you all to know, when you start to understand the totality, you only start to understand the totality fully by understanding yourself fully. So the real route to going and understanding the outside that we see every day, that we could think that we touch every day, because we really don't touch none of this. That's science too. Um, but I'll dive into that a little bit. You know, you ain't really touching nothing. You ain't really seeing what you're seeing. What you're seeing is signals in the that's getting sent, that's getting converted into like imagery in the brain. The imagery get converted in the brain, like that wow that you see. I'm not gonna say it's not there, because some people would say it's not there. I'm gonna say the atoms of it is there and the arrangement of it is there, but it's not actually that in at its source. You feel me? That makes more sense to me, because I know we call it a wall, but it's really wood, and wood we call wood, but wood is really a tree, and a tree we call a tree, but it's really a plant, and a plant we call a plant, but it's really close in DNA or DEA to us. And we call it a plant because we planted it, but it was already designed to grow. But who designed it? Who we call source, or who we call God. And see, everything trace back down like that. Everything break back down like that. So to be confused, there's no need. And to be at war about the way we see the Most High, the way we see God, the way we see this entity, there's no need, because this is just the way we see ourselves. And all of this is aspects of us. So once we get past that as a society and as a world, we will then be able to grow in total as a whole, as a consciousness. You feel me? Like the society. Like how some of us, they say that ancient societies were taken over. There were some ancient societies that never was really taken over, and it's believed that they actually ascended in their consciousness so much that they can't actually be a society no more. They couldn't be a society no more, because when you ascend in your consciousness so high, you become an actual. You have to take on another body, another being to survive in that realm. So you might be human here. You got lungs to breathe here, but in other realms, you have another body. You have a light body. You have like 9 different bodies, etherical body. You have all kind of bodies. That's Eastern practices, and that's what, when you get into the yogics and you get into the monks, Tibetan monks and all that, Shaolin monks, they all know about that stuff. That be more they focus towards spirituality. They go through body first and pretty much self first, and then they incorporate spirit as well and as a wholeness. You know, it's a holistic practice versus spiritual practices in the West. We tend to go to religion, and there's still reminiscences and forms of stuff like voodoo, Yoruba, and other spiritual practices hanging around. You feel me? So we 50 minutes in, and we have a spiritual church, you hear me? I know it might be a little distractions going on in the background, but don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. You feel me? There's no need to fight. There's no need to think opposite. There's a need to identify yourself as what you are. And huh? French social. I guess. I guess. Huh? I'm hungry anyway.
I know that we have syrup.
Huh?
I don't know if we have syrup.
It's cool. I'll put some over there.
Oh, honey.
Yeah, what was I saying? Um, oh yeah, we gotta. You basically just gotta put everything together. Like in the beginning, it was Pangea. That was the physical. Like I said, spiritual follow physical. And in the beginning, it was Pangea. So, I mean, not spiritual follow physical, but physical follow spiritual. Whoa, let me clarify that real quick. You hear me? Pangea. And that, y'all don't know about Pangea. Pangea is when all the land masses was one. That to me represented when everything was one. Spirit was one. And then after Pangea, when all the land masses split, that to me represent when spirit became and split. You feel me? And then you have different cultures. Think about Pangea though, that would have been one culture across a wide distance. Take it out. I got you. That would have been one culture across the wide distance. It wouldn't have felt separated as it do. Like we got the east and the west because it's split. Because that's how it went. And then even if you break that down, Pangea splitting, tectonic plates moving is how scientists explain it. But what the hell is a tectonic plate? Still don't nobody know. Tectonic plate. Whatever it is, you can trace the physical elements of it back down to source provided. So it's source. So it's spiritual. So when Pangea split, it meant something. Just like they say Africa is splitting now. Just like the inevitable San Andreas fault that they say one day gonna split. It's gonna all mean something. Everything means something. But holistically, you gotta have a dual understanding that it also means nothing because by it, everything meaning nothing, it all means something, or by everything meaning something, it all means nothing. Whichever way you want to replay that in your head, it pretty much gonna make sense. Even those words and those words I just said, if you replay them in your head, it's telling you everything is nothing and nothing is everything. We all experiencing, we on journeys. Let's enjoy our journeys, man. That's what I'm about. And that's what I'm about teaching for the most part. Now, we will touch in and we will dive in and touch some specific points about certain practices, certain things that's going on, religious things that's going on, because it's all a part of the whole. But this is the first video. So we had a great spiritual session. I enjoyed it. And I will be back with more spiritual sessions. And when I do come back, we're going to touch on a lot of stuff. From the Eastern practices to the Western practices. And y'all ain't even got to worry. I'm giving y'all my perspective on these things. I have years of staying up late, as you can probably tell by my eyes, and finding and searching and going inside myself, as well as taking in the information and using, the best, highest judgment that I possibly have to discern it. Appreciate you, folk. Yes, sir. I appreciate the subscription. Hey, you my 70th subscriber. I was like, man, when I'm gonna hit that 70, I wanted to have an even number. Appreciate you. Salute. You hear me? And we gonna definitely get into a lot of stuff. But it's been an hour. I enjoyed it. It was a positive time, and every time it's gonna be positive. And we gonna always enjoy it because that's what we here to do. You know what I'm saying? And peace and positive energy to you. You know what I'm saying? Uh, Blessings and affirmations in positive ways to your families and to your financial futures and to your abundance overall. And much love, much more life, much more success. I'm Quadeuce. I'm out. Make sure y'all hit that subscribe button, that like button, that share button still. And if you just now tuning in, watch the rest of the video. Yes, sir. All right, folks. I'm going to see you next live, my boy.